Welcome, everyone. Good evening. My name is Tim Reardon, and it has been my pleasure to serve as the president of the Alumni Association here at the Marquette Law School over the course of the last year. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome you to the Marquette Law School 2014 Alumni Awards program, honoring several of our distinguished alumni. Consistent with the Ignatian ideals of the Society of Jesus, Marquette Law School has a long-standing tradition of instilling in its graduates a commitment to serve others in all that we do. As Marquette lawyers, our call to service extends beyond merely serving the needs of our clients to providing a broad and wide-ranging service within our communities. The individuals who are being honored this evening each exemplify in his or her own way what it means to be a Marquette lawyer by living the Marquette mission of faith, service, leadership, and excellence in both personal life and professional life. I would like to acknowledge Father Weil, the interim president of Marquette University. Father Weil has been a long-standing supporter of the law school, and we are grateful for all that he has done for us. Thank you, Father Weil. Our program this evening will begin with some brief remarks by Dean Kearney, followed by his presentation of the Sports Law Alumnus of the Year Award, the Charles W. Minkowski Sports Law Alumnus of the Year Award, the Howard B. Eisenberg Service Award, the Lifetime Achievement Award, and the Alumnus of the Year Award. Dean Kearney will also announce the Heuris Scholarship Award recipient. At this time, I ask that you silence your cell phones as we begin our program. I would now like to invite Dean Kearney to the podium to provide his welcoming remarks and confer the awards on the individuals being honored this evening. Please join me in welcoming Dean Kearney.
Thank you, Tim, and good evening, everyone. I want to join Tim in welcoming all of you to this most special annual occasion. The Law Alumni Awards ceremony reminds us at Marquette University Law School of the long-term importance of our work. We allow ourselves to infer from the individuals whom we honor this particular evening that some 13 or 38 or even 54 years from now, our successors at this great institution will find in the careers that our current students will have forged much that is laudable, even worthy as a model. And we celebrate the accomplishments of all of our alumni by presenting awards to 4 Marquette lawyers who have exemplified our best traditions or aspirations. And this is what we most need from our alumni, present and future. Their examples. Yes, we need other things from alumni, your assistance in directing good students to us, in hiring and mentoring our graduates, and in financially supporting the law school. In that last regard, among the students who tonight are here are this summer's Public Interest Law Society Fellows, who will be working for various agencies and nonprofits this summer through the generosity of alumni contributions to our annual fund. I commend these students and I thank our supportive alumni. But it is more than anything the examples to which we keep coming back. We wish to be able to point to our alumni, to Marquette lawyers, and to ask our students to imagine themselves where our alumni are. So let me turn to tonight's exemplars, the 4 award winners. I will begin with the Sports Law Alumnus of the Year. We present this year's Charles W. Minkowski Award, as it is named, to Matt Banker of our class of 2001. Matt is the Associate Athletic Director at the University of Louisville for compliance. He brings to that position considerable experience in sports law, having worked for the National Collegiate Athletic Association from 2002 to 2008. His responsibilities included drafting NCAA legislation and interpretations for all three collegiate divisions, as well as NCAA manuals and other official publications. That is just to scratch the surface of his work for the NCAA, and it is no wonder that Matt's NCAA work helped set him up for 3 years of service as an assistant commissioner for the Ohio Valley Conference. Their wide-ranging duties included overseeing everything from the conference's compliance operations to its academic performance monitoring to NCAA rules education programming for the conference's member schools. And that, too, is just to scratch the surface of that work, which concluded with his new position as of last fall at Louisville. In short, Matt Banker has excelled in the area of sports law. There is much more to Matt, whose personal characteristics embody some of the same traits that marked my former colleague, the late Chuck Minkowski. They are, it seems to me, Marquette aspirations, the excellence, faith, leadership, and service that are the Marquette mission, and that are carved into the wall above the fireplace of the Aitken Reading Room in the Law Library. I specify the Aitken Reading Room, and thus Eckstein Hall, because Matt told us, in answer to a question, that his favorite place on campus when he was a law student here in the late 90s to study, socialize, and relax with his friends was the Law Library. He would look for that former building in vain today, I am sorry to say. Not really sorry, of course. The substantive point is that Matt embodies the Marquette mission in so many respects. In addition to the professional excellence which I have sketched out, Matt has continued his tradition of service from his law school days, where he was president of our St. Thomas More Society, into his post-Marquette life, with activities including Big Brothers Big Sisters, Make-A-Wish, and the Boys and Girls Club. Perhaps neither the sports interest nor the Marquette mission is a surprise, as Matt also notes that his grandfather coached football at Marquette University. Yes, football, as Matt puts it. Matt, would you please join Father Wild and me toward the podium while I conclude? Matt, the late Chuck Minkowski might have mildly preferred someone from the south side of Milwaukee to a Tosa native such as you, but he would be quite proud of your work as a Marquette lawyer, as are we. It is a great privilege for us to present to you the Charles W. Minkowski Sports Law Alumnus of the Year Award. Congratulations.
Thank you, Dean, for those kind words. As he said to me just a moment ago, even though you're a Cardinal, we welcome you home anytime. And it's excited, I appreciate. And it's been a great evening to catch up with professors, former classmates, and others who make the Marquette legal community what it is. I just want to thank a few people in name, certainly starting with my parents, Vince and Patty Banker, also Marquette alums. Just have shown me the way and have always advocated for education all the way through law school, so I'm certainly indebted for that. And a few professors whose voices I could hear from a distance, and suddenly I knew they were here, including Professor DeGeer, Professor Kircher, also thanks to Professor Anderson and Professor Mitten, who really lead the sports law program here at Marquette, which is something I didn't know about until I got here as a student, but certainly has been a springboard for me professionally. And then certainly last, I want to recognize Professor Minkowski, the namesake for this award, and the vision he saw in putting this all together many years ago. Without it, we wouldn't have certainly the flagship program we have today without him. And there's a lot of uncertainty in college athletics these days, as I'm sure you've read in the media reports the last couple of years, but I know my Marquette education will help me advocate for the student athletes down the road. So thank you again.
Our Our second award is the Howard B. Eisenberg Service Award, so named, of course, after my predecessor and the friend of many of us, the late Dean Eisenberg, whose commitment to justice was, simply stated, extraordinary. It is a great privilege for me to present this award, which annually honors a relatively recent alum for his or her service, to Dawn Caldart. For the past 5 years, Dawn has been the executive director of the Milwaukee Justice Center, which is a collaborative effort among the Milwaukee Bar Association, Milwaukee County, and Marquette University Law School. The MJC helps self-represented litigants with economic need, and there are many, navigate the judicial process. It does this out of the Milwaukee County Courthouse, which, at least for a litigator such as me, but I think for any of us in Milwaukee, even in Eckstein Hall, is the heart of the legal system in this region. This would be valuable and honorable work however it was pursued. Yet, under Dawn's leadership, the work of the MJC has been especially profound. For the MJC is also instrumental in helping form the professional values of lawyers. This is most evidently the case with Marquette law students, so many of whom volunteer at the MJC, in particular through the MVLC, our Marquette Volunteer Legal Clinic. In addition to the instrumental good that they do, these students are developing an ethic and a habit of pro bono service. But the MJC also enables longtime lawyers to be of service, not least because students cannot work with clients, save in connection with an attorney, and in many instances, for these lawyers to act again on the desire to do good that led them to the profession of law in the first place. The MJC engages hundreds of volunteer lawyers annually, and together with students, they serve more than 10,000 people each year. This requires considerable managerial skill on Dawn's part. The mobile legal clinic, the bus that is only the latest project of the MJC in collaboration with the law school and the MBA. I refer to Dawn's efforts to do good, and in this context at least, that is of course to invoke Howard Eisenberg, after whom this award is named. And it is a service award. Howard was dean throughout Dawn's law school education, and her career at in the law, at the MJC, in her previous private practice in workers' compensation and employment law, and in her work for several years as the legal services director of the AIDS Resource Center of Wisconsin, models the same commitment to serving others as the namesake of the award. Dawn, would you please come forward with Father Wild as I conclude? Dawn, for your reflection of what Marquette University promotes, but what it generally cannot do except through its former students, its alumni, that is, especially for your service, it is a great privilege for us to present you the Howard B. Eisenberg Service Award.
Thank you, Dean Kearney, for those kind remarks. And I would like to thank the Marquette Law School Alumni Association for this award. Dean Howard Eisenberg was a remarkable human being, a champion for justice and an ally to the poor. To receive this award in his name is an honor and a privilege. I'm filled with gratitude to be a part of the Marquette legal community, a community committed to improving access to justice for all of Milwaukee's residents, a community willing to seek solutions through innovation and collaboration to draw on common expertise and interests, a community that deeply cares about the least of us. I want to thank the leadership of the Milwaukee Bar Association and the Milwaukee Bar Association Foundation, particularly Jim Temmer, Beth Hannon, and Fran Deisinger, for their continued support into improving access to justice. The Milwaukee Bar Association and the Milwaukee Bar Association Foundation are active leaders in addressing the justice gap here in Milwaukee. Please support their work. If you're not a member, become a member and get involved. I want to thank the Clerk of Circuit Court, John Barrett, and Chief Judge Jeffrey Kremers. Their commitment to reducing the crushing number of pro se litigants navigating the courts without assistance has been instrumental in the development and growth of the Milwaukee Justice Center. I also want to thank my colleagues, Angela Schultz and Julie Darnider from Marquette University Law School, Mary Ferwerda, Omar Malik, Janelle Schmidt, Justin Metzger, Amy Wokus from the Milwaukee Justice Center. They're true partners and friends in this work. They inspire me to be my best, and they make the journey fun. Lastly, I'd like to thank my family. My career path has been jagged and bumpy. I didn't even enter law school until I was in my 30s. So their willingness to let me forge my own path and follow my passion means the world to me. So thank you very much for this award.
Our Lifetime Achievement Award this year honors Bill Mulligan of our class of 1960. Where to begin? One could cite his work of the past several decades in the private practice, where Bill is a longtime partner with Davis & Keelfau in Milwaukee. One could note his career as a federal prosecutor, including service for 4 years as the top such prosecutor, the United States Attorney in Milwaukee. One to make sure that one included his work as an in-house corporate lawyer and his service in the late 1970s on the Marquette University Law faculty. And yet, what would one be? It would be a catalog of impressive positions, but it would be a list. Let's leave aside the list and listen for a moment to people who have known Bill during much of the past 54 years. One federal judge, writing in support of Bill's nomination for this award, cited, yes, his, quote, keen knowledge of the law, but especially wanted to emphasize that Bill has always exhibited courtesy, candor, and cooperation while participating in the legal system without compromising his obligation to his client. Another nominator, a former law partner, cites him as a patient and unselfish mentor, a brilliant, thorough, and painstaking lawyer, a person of great humility, and someone blessed with a great sense of humor. It is with these and other personal characteristics, including his thoroughness and commitment to preparation, that Bill is a first-rate trial lawyer. That is as much a reference to his practice today as it is to his work as a prosecutor, which concluded more than 35 years ago. For the past 6 years, for example, Bill has been engaged on the defense side in 2 Fox River environmental cases in federal district court in Green Bay. These involve the largest Superfund site in the country. 30 parties and more than 100 attorneys have appeared in one of the cases, just to give you a sense of the matter. The cases are now on appeal to the 7th Circuit, which is no doubt delighted with the 15 appeals and cross appeals that have been filed. The work of the trial is scarcely only procedural. Involvement in these cases, for example, has required learning and understanding paper making and coding, the paper industry, wastewater treatment, recycling, chemistry, hydrogeology, weather, dredging, hydrology, and ecology. The case and the courts are fortunate to have a lawyer of Bill's integrity, judgment, intelligence, and skill helping to lead this litigation. A career such as Bill's would be worth celebrating just for its work with clients, government, private, individual, and others. But Bill is dedicated to serving his fellow as well. I would note in particular his leadership of the campaign in the 1980s to create the Wisconsin Lawyers Mutual Insurance Corporation, WILMIC. And I think this significant, even if WILMIC were not now my malpractice insurer. As a lawyer, that is, inasmuch as, Father Wellens, you are my insurer for my work as dean. Bill was instrumental a dozen years ago in the creation of the Eastern District of Wisconsin Bar Association. That is not only a thriving organization now, with more than 500 members, but it has been impressive from the beginning. I got involved upon becoming dean a year after the group's formation when Bill Mulligan and Nathan Fishbach contacted me, and I would have thought then that it was a long-standing organization. So well conceived and run was and is it. I would like to continue to offer example after example as I could, but I would rather let us hear from Bill for a few minutes. Bill, will you please come forward with Father Wild? Bill, for your career today as a Marquette lawyer, and more generally for the excellence, faith, leadership, and service that have been, that are your hallmarks, it is a great privilege for us to ask you to accept the Marquette University Law Alumni Association's Lifetime Achievement Award.
Thank you, Dean Kearney, and my thanks to the Law and Alumni Association and the Law School for honoring me with this award. I am deeply honored by it, but I must reflect that I would not be a candidate for this award but for the excellent legal education that I had here at Marquette Law School, with the tremendous faculty that we had in those days, and going into the practice of law as a prosecutor, the advice, guidance, counsel that I received from many of the sitting state and federal court judges and opposing counsel who shared with me tips and suggestions on how to handle cases. After we finished a trial, sometime later I would get advice as to what would be a more effective way of presenting certain evidence. I learned a lot from that, and I learned a lot from my opposing counsel. In that particular time, we were all members of what was known as the federal family, and we after our trials would get together and go over them at a local bar establishment, and we learned a lot from that, and I learned a lot of my trade practices from that interaction. Also, I would not be here, I'm certain, but for having worked with an outstanding group of attorneys in the U.S. Attorney's Office. They were extremely bright. They were effective, dedicated young attorneys who pursued cases with vigor, but always in an upright fashion, and who were, as members of the federal family, all friends. I'm not going to go into who had the best golf scores, but we had occasions where we also engaged in those kind of activities, and played baseball with one of our other award recipients this evening, who was clerking at that time for our Judge John Reynolds, and learned a lot from working with this young group of lawyers. I also have to acknowledge, but for the support and encouragement of my family, I'm not sure I could have done the things that I was able to do. Received great encouragement from my wife, Mary, who was one of the most courageous persons I ever knew in her own career. And I'm very grateful for all those that helped me to aspire to being recognized at this point, but in a major way, this award is a recognition to those that helped me during that time period. Thank you very much.
Our final Alumni Award this evening is our Alumnus of the Year Award. Pat Dunphy stands out among the leading personal injury lawyers in the state of Wisconsin. He also stands out more generally in the profession. One of his nominators, a leading insurance defense lawyer, that is, of course, the other side, typically, termed Pat the finest trial lawyer in the state. Another, a former partner, attributes this to Pat's sharp intellect combined with superb instincts, wrapped in Irish charm and good humor. Another former partner, a member of the Havish firm, cites Pat's extraordinary work ethic. These testimonials all come from Pat's fellow Marquette lawyers. Yet they point to more than that. The first, the lawyer from the other side of the trial bar, says, more importantly, Pat is of the highest ethical standards, completely trustworthy, honest, and above board in all of his dealings. The second similarly notes Pat's unquestioned ethics and his commitment to his family. The third, the self-described business competitor, cites Pat's passionate advocacy for his clients. And all this is not even to draw on the attestations of Pat's current partners. To be able in the courtroom, to have some affinity for hard work, to be honest, all of this is important and helpful, perhaps to understate the points, but one must bring it all together and deliver for clients. This Pat has done. On 3 separate occasions, Pat has tried a case resulting in the then highest award in Wisconsin for a plaintiff's case. From 1985, before the old Med Mal panel, to 1989 in Manitowoc County, to 2008 in Walworth County. 1 would be impressive. 2 times would be more than a mere coincidence. 3 times, over almost a quarter of a century, well, res ipsa loquitur, as a personal injury lawyer might like to say. To a judge at any rate, as I imagine that the jury would not have the slightest clue what that meant. And these are among the appropriate measures of success. They constitute recovery under the law for severely injured individuals. They also are far from inevitable. Immense work and great art underlie all Pat's work, including the results of less acclaim that Pat and his partners have secured for their clients. Such work is at the heart of the legal profession. In the midst of all this, Pat's service to others, even apart from his work as a trial lawyer, has been so impressive. It has ranged from his leadership for several years of the board of Marquette University High School, including chairing an 8-figure capital campaign, to service as a board member of Guest House in Milwaukee, a shelter that provides housing along with job and substance abuse counseling to the homeless. Recall his father, perhaps, the late Roy Dunphy, a Milwaukee lawyer and Marquette Law faculty member. Pat has been instrumental in recent years in leading Marquette Law School's continuing legal education program. The list goes on, but it is all possible because Pat is such a good lawyer. His work on behalf of clients has even occasioned broader government responses to injustice, from criminal prosecution of a lab that had falsified Pap smear results to legislation mandating that the transfer of inmate medical records and medical forms occur contemporaneously with the transfer of the inmate. Pat may have gotten involved initially to help a single client, but his reach is broader. Pat, would you please also come forward with Father Wilds as I conclude here? Pat, you once told me, I like to think that I got my law degree for socially useful purposes. I hope I have done that. That must be a trial lawyer's use of understatement. It is not to verge in the other direction, to hyperbole, when I say that you are an exemplar of the Marquette University mission, and that it is an immense privilege for me as dean, on behalf of the Marquette Law Alumni Association and the school and the university more generally, to ask you to please accept from Father Wild this award as Marquette University Law School's Alumnus of the Year.
Oh. Thank you very much, Dean Kearney. Father Wild and Tim. I want to thank the Alumni Board for this great honor. Quite frankly, I can't think of anything that would be a higher honor for someone to graduate from their law school and then have their law school years later say that they were proud of what he's accomplished. So it's a very meaningful award for me. I also want to congratulate the others that are given awards here tonight, because it's obvious that they too understand what Marquette Law School is all about, and they have accomplished much in their own way to carry out the mission, what it means to be a Marquette lawyer. And I do remember playing ball for Bill Mulligan. I never played golf with him because I figured every time he hit a bad shot, he'd want a mulligan. Isn't that right, Bill? Anyway, I'm thrilled to have my family members here. I got 4 sons, Brian, Kevin, Pat, and Mike, very original Irish names. 2 marvelous daughters-in-law, Katrin and Megan. And I got 3 grandkids here and 1 on the way. We got Nolan, we got Betsy, we got Farrell sitting out there somewhere being quiet, God love her. I have to say, though, that an honor like this does provoke a little reflection on one's career and life choices. And I will readily admit that I was not the brightest bulb in the law school lamp, and I am not Clarence Darrow in the courtroom. But I think I've done 2 things that show that there's a certain basic good instinct that I have, and that's in picking partners, all right? In 1985, Bill Cannon and I formed the law firm of Cannon and Dunphy. It's another Irish kid from the West Side neighborhood. We grew up playing kick the can and capture the flag, and Bill always captured the flag and I always got kicked in the can. But the important thing is that Bill and I have known each other as long as we've been alive, and we both know that hard work and loyalty are the keys to a successful law partnership. And the second, and the even better choice that I made was, 40 years ago, this August, Ginny and I will have married. Continuing the Jesuit tradition, I borrowed her notes in BC theology class. Jesuit priest passed them out. Well, in 1985, as I said, when Bill and I formed our firm, I had 3 kids, a mortgage, a good job with a good firm, and I said, hey, Ginny, why don't we just roll the dice and see what happens? And we might not make any money, but let's give it a shot. And she said, go for it. All right? So, selfless support. The way I look at it, there is no C&D without GD. My second thought was about Jesuit education in general and Marquette University Law School in particular. I've obviously been educated by Jesuits, but actually it started before I went to Jesuit schools, because my mom and my dad always had Jesuits over the house, and there's never one Jesuit that comes to the house. It's always multiple, and they always come for a meal. All right? Or you take one out and the whole rectory shows up, and it's steak dinners for everybody. But when you're a priest, I guess the meal is supposed to be the center of your life, and they certainly live that and believe that strongly. And my brother Dick was a Jesuit priest. He was the firstborn in the Irish Catholic family. Therefore, he was sacrificed to the priesthood, and I was able to follow in my father's footsteps and become a lawyer. I went to Marquette University High School. My dad went there, my brother went there, my 4 sons have gone there, and we love the Jesuit education that we had there. Boston College, again, Jesuit education. It is just outstanding. and I owe a lot to it. And then again, Marquette University Law School, another Jesuit-driven institution. And I believe that Jesuit education is so special because it demands a mastery of the subject matter. But also it instills a value system for the use of the knowledge that you gain going to a Jesuit school. The bottom line is the Jesuits tell you, you know what, it's not about you, it's about the others who need you. Marquette Law School was demanding, but it also taught us what it was to be a professional. They taught us that a law degree is an opportunity to serve a socially useful purpose in our community. Clearly, the other award recipients here tonight know that and live that. Again, it's not about you, it's about those you serve. It's treating clients as people, not as accounts receivable. It's about caring for those who hold out their hand and say, help me up. Marquette Law School carries on that tradition of the Jesuit-based values education. So I have a closing thought, and that is it's very special to be on the list of the recipients of this award, but there's two people who make this particularly special for me. One is Jim Giardi, who was of counsel to my father's law firm. The other is John Cluen, my father's longtime law partner. And I feel in some respects that this is really a joint award because I believe that I've tried hard to follow in the footsteps of my father, Ward, who was a law professor here. And when I graduated from law school, he gave me a letter. I'll quote briefly from it. He said, with your law degree and your license, you have achieved a berth on the team, somewhat similar to surviving the cut in college sports. It's the beginning of a specialized career in which you will guide people through emotional, financial, and social crisis. Your goal is to benefit society, to exemplify integrity, to maintain honor, and to devote your talents to improving man's relation to man. I can't think of a better statement of what it means to be a Marquette lawyer. So tonight I feel like maybe, in some small way, excuse me, that maybe my dad would be proud. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. I have one final announcement this evening. Several years ago, the law school presented the Lifetime Achievement Award to Ralph Heuris of our class of 1941. Ralph was perhaps the original advocate for a new law facility and one of the most generous donors to the Eckstein Hall project. The Heuris Lounge, which is right behind you on the second floor, where so many students daily congregate, study, and converse, remembers him and his father, Peter, of our class of 1918. So too does an annual award underwritten by the Heuris Foundation, led in part by Ralph's law partner, Bill Farrell, of our class of 1968, the Ralph J. Heuris Law School Citizen Award, which is a scholarship given to a rising 2L student for his or her second year of study at Marquette. The Heuris Foundation had some ideas regarding the ideal candidate for this award. Someone who adds to the spirit of the law school, demonstrating a broad spectrum of qualities, including professionalism, a willingness to assist fellow students, and involvement in the law school and the broader community, and other indicia of the Marquette University mission. The selection process annually involves faculty and administrators, as well as current first-year students. The former submitted nominations, out of which 3 candidates were selected to appear on a ballot for voting by first-year students. I'm delighted to announce that the 2014 recipient of the Ralph J. Harris Law School Citizen Award is Carl Knaple. Carl, would you please come up and stand here with me for a moment, please? Thanks. Carl's nomination included details about his service as a student volunteer at the Milwaukee Justice Center. We've heard of that before. As an advisor of the Public Interest Law Society, both generally and at events this year, such as the Thanksgiving dinner and the auction, and most generally, his positive effect on the Marquette University Law School and even broader legal community in these early months of his entry into the profession. Carl is a native of West Bend and committed to this community. This being not a career award, I will not hold forth further, nor will Carl take the podium, but I do want to commend him, as well as the other finalists for the Harris Award, Carl G. and Ashma Kadri, who will receive partial scholarships next year, for what they're doing to help us build the Marquette Law School community and the profession and society more generally. You inspire us. Congratulations, Carl. That's good. Father Wild has waived rebuttal. At least he did before the event. I don't think that anything likely would have changed his mind too much. But I do want to, as Tim did, acknowledge and thank him this evening. Over a decade and a half as president, he helped us build this law school on the foundation of our alumni and other predecessors, yes, but to new heights. So please do join me in acknowledging and thanking Reverend Robert A. Wild of the Society of Jesus. I want to thank all of you as well for being with us this evening. This really is a special event. It marks the conclusion of our academic year. Classes end at 4:45 p.m. on the Thursday of Alumni Awards, but it also reflects what we are striving to build for the future. So I am very grateful. And with that, let me yield the podium back to the president of the Marquette University Law Alumni Association, Tim Reardon.
Thank you. This is an unusual experience in that I get the last word to Dean Kearney. All year long I've been challenged to do that. At this point, on behalf of the Marquette Law School Alumni Association, I would like to congratulate, for one last time, Pat Dunphy, Bill Mulligan, Dawn Caldart, and Matthew Baker for their outstanding accomplishments, dedication to our profession, leadership, and service to our community. Also, congratulations to Carl Knaple, the recipient of the Harris Scholarship Award. Please join me in one last round of applause for our award recipients. Thank you to everyone who attended this program, as we greatly appreciate your continued support of the law school. Our program is now concluded, but feel free to stay for a drink or two, as the bar is still open, I believe, and enjoy the rest of your evening and have a safe drive home.